Okay, we're
Alrighty.
on air.
We're on air and it's that time again. It's our monthly Real Mushrooms live pet Q&A. Hello everybody out there and happy holidays. Hope you're having a fantastic holiday season and that you're staying warm and dry with all of this crazy weather we've been having. My name is Joni Camlet, and I'm the Director of Veterinary Education and Outreach for Real Mushrooms. And I'm here with my colleague and mentor, Dr. Rob Silver. Many of you know Dr. Silver. He's an amazing veterinarian and the formulator of our Real Mushrooms veterinary products. He's been a veterinarian, practicing veterinary medicine for 40 years now. And we are so lucky that much of those 40 years has been on the integrative side of things. And we are super happy that he's with us at Real Mushrooms and guiding us through the world of fantastic fungi. So hello there, Dr. Silver.
Hey, Joni, don't say too much more. My head's getting big.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we don't want that. He's not that great. No, just kidding. How's that?
Yeah.
Um, we've had a lot of questions come in, and we're going to be taking questions live tonight. But I also wanted to start out talking a little bit about two mushrooms that are maybe not as well known in veterinary medicine as I think they should be. And I know that you're also a big fan of both cordyceps and chaga, and how these two different mushrooms can work for our pets. So, which one would you like to start with, Dr. Silver?
How about chaga?
Okay, so do tell me what are some of the ways that you like to use chaga for in pet protocols?
Well, chaga is an interesting mushroom because it's not a mushroom.
Right. It's a canker,
It's
right?
actually
Yeah.
mycelium that's growing
Yeah.
into the birch tree, and
Right.
it picks up a lot of the very active molecules in the birch tree, which have a wide range of effects. We think of chaga first, we think of cancer, especially because of Alexander Solzhenitsyn's use of it as he recorded in his Nobel Prize winning Cancer Ward and Gulag books. But it has even much more than that. Originally, chaga was used as a digestive tonic, primarily to help with inflammation in the upper GI, like gastritis and that sort of thing. It has very potent anti-inflammatory, antioxidant properties, so it can work really well in that regards. But one of the more unique and perhaps lesser known applications for chaga is the fact that it has properties very much like an antihistamine.
Hmm.
So given its immune modulating value and its antihistamine properties, I think chaga could be used very well in any kind of a program for pets who have atopic dermatitis or some kind of an allergy-like condition.
Interesting, and maybe in combination with reishi, because doesn't reishi also have some of those
Well,
similar
reishi
qualities?
does, and that's
Oh,
one reason why I often will recommend our Five Defenders, which
okay.
contains both of those
Yeah.
along with three other mushrooms.
Right.
But sometimes it's better just to do an individual mushroom or to blend a few individuals to your own needs for your
Yeah.
own pet's needs versus using a stock formula.
Yeah. Interestingly, I chaga was when I started working for on mushrooms, chaga was probably the mushroom I knew least about.
Hmm.
And when I don't know a lot about a mushroom, I love to start taking it and kind
Yeah,
of test it on myself and my own pets and
yeah.
see what I experience. And I can say that it really had a pretty dramatic effect. It has had a dramatic effect on my digestion, and I've added it to my daily protocol. And so, so I love that chaga is great for gastric issues.
Hmm.
It's also a wonderful antioxidant, correct?
Yes, and like most mushrooms, it also has adaptogenic
Yeah.
support for stress and has as a mild relaxing effect as well in the system. Humans, when you look at how humans are using chaga, a lot of them are using it because it has kind of a coffee-like consistency to it, so they're using it as a coffee substitute. I know there's some people. I think Dr. Becker, in fact, talks about using it in her bathtub as a soak. So, I mean, there's all sorts of innovative ways that people are using this chaga, which looks like a chunk of wood because a lot of it is a chunk of wood that comes off of the tree, but most it's activated wood, so to speak.
But it also, when we talk about the doctrine of signatures, it also looks like
a cancer.
A cancer, exactly. And for those that don't know what the doctrine of signatures is, do you want to give us a little explanation of that?
Well, the ancients, the early peoples, as they were trying to figure out how to use the natural world that was in front of them, they would match the appearance of a natural substance, like maybe something that looks like a kidney shape, with being good for the kidneys. And we think that's kind of rudimentary and certainly not scientific. But what's interesting is when we go and look back at those, at the doctrine of signatures, we find that many of those things actually have validity to them. And so true with chaga, so true, I think we mentioned with lion's mane, because it looks like a little brain. That's what it's for.
Exactly.
We could go on, with a number of other things as well.
Yeah, no, it's true. And Donna's mentioning chaga tea is really good as well, which is very true. And you can, some people take the chunks of chaga and they brew a tea out of it, and then you can mix it. You could actually, like you would do a bone broth, adding a bone broth to your pet's food. You could add, some chaga tea, or use the powder. I imagine you could take the powder and make it into, add water and kind of make it into like a tea as well for dogs. Correct?
Right. And we're starting to get some questions, I'm noticing, about chaga. Maybe rather than moving on to cordyceps, maybe we should answer those questions and then go to cordyceps if we're able to. But otherwise, I think the live questions are so much more important.
And, it's funny, Colleen, I was actually going to ask Dr. Rob that very question so that we can debunk this myth. Colleen asks, is there any worry at all about birch sugar xylitol when using chaga, since it's mostly harvested from birch trees? This question has come up on some of the natural pages I'm on. So glad you asked that question.
Yes, we're aware of the negative spin about chaga, and we took measures to get evidence as far as what the truth was behind this. So we sent our own chaga extract into the laboratory for analysis to see if they could detect any xylitol in it, and they were unable. And there's a little matter of chemistry here, because xylitol is not birch sugar. Xylitol is a sugar alcohol that's been converted through a chemical process, not naturally. It doesn't occur naturally in nature, through a chemical process that takes the xylan. The xylan is the birch sugar, just like, glucose might be the corn sugar. Xylan is the birch sugar, and then they modify that by attaching an alcohol to it, which is how they get xylitol, and which has toxicity to dogs and cats because it mimics. It stimulates the production of more insulin, which then causes them to go into a diabetic type of shock thing. So no, don't worry about that at all. And in answer to the first question about the Facebook user, I think, because mushrooms are what they are, they do all have purines in them. That's their nature. But so looking at what we were just discussing, which is chaga, I would have to look to see the analysis of chaga itself, but because it's technically not a mushroom, but has many of the benefits of mushroom, I think chaga very well could be appropriate for those dogs who have sensitivity to the uric acid and the purines.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And thank you for catching that Facebook user that slipped by us. So let's see if there's any other questions about chaga. Donna likes the tea with maple syrup and lemon, chilled and poured over. Now I'm thirsty. And Heidi's mentioning that her mom used to go. Her grandmother used to go into the forest and collect mushrooms. Yeah. How wonderful. That's fantastic. So I think we have covered chaga. Do you want to move on to cordyceps? And then once we finish with cordyceps, we will address the other questions that are coming into the chat.
Okay. Well, cordyceps, and I have to say, this is kind of interesting because it reminds me of veterinary school, because every time we'd learn about a new disease, we were certain we had it. They call that medical student syndrome. And every time I read about a new mushroom, it becomes my favorite.
Yeah.
And I like chaga a lot, but I have to say that right now, and reishi was my favorite, but now.
It was your favorite, yeah.
Yeah, I know, I'm fickle. Now it's cordyceps.
Oh, Reishi's going to be so jealous.
I know. And cordyceps is a very interesting mushroom because it's of a different category than the mushrooms we're used to eating, the edible mushrooms, but it's in the same category as morels and truffles. And so it has a very good taste. And sometimes the taste of the mushroom itself can dissuade an animal from taking it, unless it's, majorly, enhanced with flavorings. Like Donna uses the maple syrup and lemon for her chaga tea. Have to use something like that for the critters as well.
Especially if it's a cat.
Especially if it's a cat. But to me, it tastes a little bit like toast. It has a very nice, bland taste to it. And, it's traditionally been used for a variety of things. It provides energy. It's good for performance and it's good for stamina. It also enhances testosterone levels, which is one reason why it was considered to be an aphrodisiac. And there is some evidence that it might be helpful with endocrine conditions, as in this one question that we had that I'm looking at now that we haven't presented regarding pituitary dependent
Cushing's. Yeah.
But I do know that some of our mushrooms also, have maybe more copper in them than you'd want to have if you have an animal with copper storage disease. So we would have to look at that specifically, and we really aren't. I didn't give my disclaimer, but I'm really not in a position to give you medical advice about your individual animal. We're talking about the medicinal properties of these herbs, and it might apply to your animal, but we don't have, a doctor-patient relationship. And so there's ethical considerations that I don't want to violate in that regards. But anyway, cordyceps, is because it has an effect on the hormones. It also can be good for fertility, certainly good for cancers, especially gastric, cervical, and oral. It has antiviral natures. It was used for hepatitis C for a while, has protective properties for the liver, and has protective properties as an adaptogen for stress.
And don't forget the lungs.
Well, it's so good for the lungs and supports the kidneys as well. So we also think that it's good for asthma, which is a common condition we see in cats. So this, again, makes it very good for cats, and cats that have a tendency to have chronic kidney disease. It supports the kidneys as it supports the lungs as well. So horses, they say, are all legs and lungs. I think cordyceps is perfect for them. And I think it's perfect for cats as well. It's certainly perfect for dogs and you and me too. It could be, it's good for cough and wheezing. Some think of it as an elderly tonic, and because it can generate ATP type energy, many times after anesthesia and surgery, animals' energies are depleted from the anesthetics, from the stress, from the blood loss. Cordyceps could be a good restorative supplement to use post those procedures as well. Do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
I was agree. I think cordyceps is really good for convalescence. I see cordyceps as a whole body tonic. You covered the lungs, kidneys, just a stress, an adaptogen, great for stress. I love cordyceps kind of for performance animals, working dogs. I agree with you, Doc Rob, about cordyceps for cats being excellent, because cats and kidney disease, I think using and because the taste is mild, I would love to see more cats using the cordyceps. And then I'd love for people using the cordyceps with their cats to get back to us. We love getting feedback because that helps us know, what's working and what's not working. I think you covered a lot of it, and it's great. And we've got questions just coming in.
Yeah, let's get down on those questions.
I do want to say to Sandy Spez, I can see you. So I know Sandy had some questions on Facebook earlier, and she was going to come on. And I just want to let you know that if you post your question there, we will see it, Sandy. So I guess let's just scroll up. Jordan, our wonderful, wonderful customer service manager and helper in the pet realm, is kind of behind the scenes. She's going to give us some questions. This one we already covered this one, Jordan. Rob just covered that with the cordyceps. Okay. So Rhonda, I'm enthralled with this information. Will I be able to view this again later? Absolutely. I just purchased some of the mushroom powders for myself and my dogs. Yeah, Rhonda, as soon as this Facebook Live is over, the recording goes up on the Real Mushrooms page. It goes up on the Facebook Real Mushrooms Facebook. The Facebook Real Mushrooms for Pets page, and also the Real Mushrooms Insiders page. So, and then it's there like for eternity. So yeah, you'll be able to watch this again if you would like. Janelle's is saying our dogs have been on 5 Defenders and reishi in your powder form for months. I rotate them and they are auto shipped from you every month. We are building the immune system. Awesome, Janelle. We love hearing that.
Really good job. I'm actually quite impressed because reishi is just so difficult as in terms of palatability for many animals that your dogs are able to accept them.
Yeah,
food. That's wonderful.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm wondering if you're raw feeding or home cooking and are able to kind of mix it in with something very savory. Facebook user is asking what mushrooms should be stopped before surgery and how long before the intended day?
I don't think there's really any reason to stop giving the mushrooms in terms of enhancing more bleeding or problems with anesthesia or things like that. Mushrooms are food. Most of them are food. And so they're very, very mild on the system as a whole. I do recommend stopping all supplements, though. 24 hours before you're going to fast the animal. You want them to recover. So I think it doesn't hurt to give them a little break, just before and after, for day before, day after, just to make it easier on their fasting and everything else.
Yeah.
Missing a day or two is not going to make a difference in terms of the impact of the mushrooms on your animal's health.
Yeah. And I just want to reiterate that what you said, Dr. Rob. I mean, mushrooms they're functional foods. So it's very different. They're not an herb. They've got their own kingdom, and they're the mushrooms that are safe for humans are safe for animals, and they're So I love thinking it's like broccoli. Eating broccoli or something else. You can think of mushrooms along those lines. So let's see, what's the next one? Nina is asking, I recently heard that cordyceps is contraindicated for a type of cancer, but I can't remember which. Have you heard that, Doc Rob?
I have not, there's a lot of information out there that's not really juried, so to speak, on Dr. Google. There's all kinds of things being bandied about and in these groups. If you do wind up finding that information, please share it with us through the Facebook group, and I can give you my professional evaluation of that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would be great. There are so many clinical studies happening on mushrooms right now. Unfortunately, not in the veterinary realm, but there's a lot coming out about mushrooms right now. So, and we love seeing all of it. Lisa's asking, what do you recommend for Cushing's again? We have an integrative specialist, but she's away for 2 weeks. He was just diagnosed, so trying to get some helpful resources. Thank you so much.
Well, as I'd mentioned, I really can't give medical advice. Yeah. I would like to say that Cushing's is not easily treated through supplements alone. There's some forms of Cushing's that are very, very, very aggressive. So although I know we all desire to avoid the drugs and avoid the surgery, sometimes they're appropriate to reduce long-term suffering, and to improve longevity. That being said, there are some natural approaches to it. And I think that, to wait 2 weeks until your specialist comes back would not be that problematic. And if I were to give you a list of things to use, your holistic vet may, disagree with it, because there's lots of different ways, as we say here in Colorado, lots of ways to get to Denver, and but I appreciate your asking the question. And I wish I could help you better in that regards. The drug that we use for Cushing's is really pretty benign. It's called trilostane. And before that drug came on the market, I really struggled to treat these patients, and they were miserable. Some of them really miserable. So I think the drug is relatively safe and worthwhile thinking of, in combination with these other approaches, things like flaxseed meal and melatonin, and there's a standard process product and things like that, which really are up to your holistic vet to tell you.
Yeah. And Lisa, we said we feel for you. I know 2 weeks is going to feel like an eternity, but how wonderful that you do have an integrative specialist, because it can be hard to find one sometimes. And we wish you and your pup the best, for sure. Janelle, who was using the reishi, she does raw feed. That's what I figured. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Easier to get the reishi in when you can kind of control the food, the taste of the food a little better. So Bridget is asking, my burner is 4-year-old. I give 5 Defenders. Is that a good mushroom supplement to give to build up his immune system? He is a raw fed and a healthy boy.
I think that's a really good choice. As I'm sure you're aware, Bernese do come bundled with some hardware issues, that sometimes come into play. Genetic issues is what I mean by hardware. And the 5 Defenders is good because it has 5 of the top most immune modulating mushrooms that we have. So I think what is important, though, is to make sure that you're dosing it at a level that's good for your 4-year-old burner, who may be, close to 100 pounds, if as many burners can be.
Yeah. And you could see the picture. I don't know if you could see Rob or Facebook picture. Beautiful, beautiful dog.
No, I can't see it.
Oh, okay. Well, she's got a burner in her Facebook profile pic.
Yeah, they're awfully.
Yeah,
they're great. They're great family dogs.
Yeah, no, I agree. 5 Defenders is great proactive daily supplement for I think all dogs and cats should be on it. Donna has a comment. A cordyceps blend helped my dog during a heart and lung situation where he was eventually diagnosed with congestive heart failure and mitral valve disease. I syringe fed him the mushroom blend for 24 hours along with a homeopathic remedy. I truly thought he wasn't going to survive the night. I praise God for providing us with such amazing medicinal mushrooms. Wow, that's an amazing testimonial.
Great story, it's great to have you on here each time.
Yeah. So glad that your dog pulled through. Let's see, where do we go next? We've got Sarah, who is saying hello from Kentucky. Are mushrooms safe for people with heart issues? And do they help with IBS? Well, we got a human question. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, mushrooms are generally food. So there's really no reason I can think of why they wouldn't be safe for a person with heart disease, but I'm not a cardiologist and I'm not a human practitioner. And just as I don't really want to give advice to people about their medical advice to people about their pets, I'm a bit cautious about this as well. IBS, I think with heart disease, that's serious. The ticker goes and you go, IBS, I'm a little more comfortable with saying that certainly mushrooms can be helpful. They have anti-inflammatory and immune modulating properties. Lion's mane is probably the mushroom you'd want to look at for that. And lion's mane would probably be just fine, in terms of your concurrent heart disease, Sarah.
Yeah. You know what, Dr. Rob? You know what I forgot to announce?
No. That's right.
Yes, exactly. Thank goodness Jordan reminded me. So for all people on the Facebook Live, we are doing a 15% discount off all of our pet products. The code is RM for real mushrooms, RM Pets 15. So RM Pets 15. And so you can get 15% off any of our real mushrooms pet products. So if you're on this Facebook Live, and we'll announce it again later, but yay, go stock up. Let's see. Facebook user says, I like the mushroom immune because it seems to have what Five Defenders has, but also has some other great ingredients. Will it ever be provided as a powder?
You know, that's a good question. We're considering that. We're looking at different formats that might be as convenient or more convenient, that might be a little less expensive, that might be easier to put a number of different ingredients in than trying to pack them into a soft chew. And I agree with you. I think that I formulated the Immune chews, and they've got some very powerful herbs that work adjunctively and have traditionally over the years been used with mushrooms to great success. So we're looking at that right now. We're in the middle of the next product that I've designed, which is
don't say the name of it though.
Okay, well, which is a daily supplement for your dog or your cat. And it's meant to just be given every morning, and it has everything you'll need in it, including probiotics and a variety of different mushrooms and even some beta glucans from seaweed. It should be quite good. So once we have that moving along, then we're looking at what other things we need to do as well.
Yeah, and I'll tell y'all, I've seen the formulation and I'm so excited. I don't think I've been as excited about a formula, a product, well, maybe ever. Because it's got all the best mushrooms, and then it's got all like just everything I would want in a daily, and it's going to be a powder. So it's going to be a powder to sprinkle on the food. And I'm joking with Dr. Rob, but I want to keep the name a surprise because it's a really, really good name.
I came up with the name, and I like it a lot too.
I know you do. And so
it honors someone who I really respect a lot for his musical abilities.
Yes, but we gotta keep some secrets, Rob. So that we can launch
everything.
Launch with a bang.
You got to leave something for later.
Janelle's like, a new product we're in. Yeah, we've got we've got there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming down the pike. We're just getting started, honestly. It's been really, I think, Doc Rob, you'd agree, like the feedback and the support that we've gotten for the launch. I mean, it's been, we launched March of this year. So hasn't even been a year that the Real Mushrooms for Pets products have been out, and, they're doing phenomenal. And we have so many veterinarians opening accounts, which is very exciting for us because, we want to get the word out to everybody, not just pet parents, but to veterinarians about the power of mushrooms, how helpful they can be in protocols. So, we've only just begun. So here's the next question. My boxer has allergies that cause her to itch. She is prescribed 16 milligrams of Apoquel, half a pill per day. Would the mushroom help elevate that medication?
Eliminate. Maybe they would say eliminate or alleviate.
Alleviate that medication. I guess maybe lessen the medication. I'm not quite sure what that means.
Yeah, Apoquel many times works really well at first and seems like after a while its effectiveness begins to wane. I don't think that I could promise you that mushrooms could do as good a job as Apoquel did at the very beginning in terms of relieving itch. I think there's a multi-pronged program that you need to follow in order to address allergies because they're so complicated, and just giving a magic pill or even giving magic mushrooms may not be enough. I wouldn't want to promise you something that I couldn't deliver. So we, as we mentioned earlier in this program, if you were present, chaga and reishi both have antihistaminic properties, and they also help to modulate the immune system.
Yeah.
So I think if you were to try to add something to your boxer's program, I would start with probably with Five Defenders, which carries both the reishi and the chaga, as well as some other good immune modulating properties, and not change your dosage of the Apoquel. and see how it affects her itchiness. My guess is the Apoquil is not 100% effective. So you
Right.
may be able to see some benefit even while on the Apoquil, which would be a good indication that maybe you could reduce the dosage of the Apoquil. I wouldn't just cold turkey it. I'd probably go a quarter pill instead of no pill at all, and
Yeah.
maybe increase the dosage of the 5 defenders to get a greater antihistaminic effect.
Yeah.
Allergies are tough, and we actually are looking at a product eventually that will address allergies. But one reason I would call it for allergies is because it has other things in it as well, which can also help with allergies because it's such a multifactorial problem. It's not easy.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a change of diet, like depending on what type of allergy. I mean, there could be a lot of inflammation in the gut that I always think of allergies and skin issues. Skin issues also, have a strong gut diet component as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So what our next, gosh, Jordan, you are good. She just pops those questions up. I have a 9.5-year-old, 110-pound German Shepherd. He's dragging one of his back legs very slightly, very unsteady. The vet put him on prednisone and it seems to help, but not much. Any mushrooms you would suggest?
Well, what's happening is and this is not uncommon in the German Shepherd dog, is there's some impingement upon the spinal cord in his lower back by his vertebra. Probably not a disc, but they do have this tendency, how they kind of lay low in their hips. So that lumbosacral junction is not the best mechanically. So the prednisone reduces the inflammation at the vertebral bodies that are impinging on the spinal cord, which helps some, but it may actually be, I hate to say this, it may actually be a surgical issue. Now, 110 pounds is, nice hefty dog. If there's any degree of being overweight, that could be almost as beneficial in terms of getting him to reduce that and get lean as the prednisone itself in terms of helping him with that, just to reduce the forces of gravity. I would suggest trying some CBD, for something like this. But it may need a little more work than just a drug or a supplement.
And I also want to add, and I hope this isn't the case, from my background in rehab, I worked with a number of German Shepherd dogs with the dragging of, you want to make sure when you say the dragging of one of his back feet, is he knuckling? Which means that instead of, stepping with his foot, kind of the foot kind of rolls and he steps more on the top of his foot on the knuckle. Which could be indicative of a disease called degenerative myelopathy, which I'm not saying I think that's what it is, but I am saying in my history of working in rehab, I did see a fair amount of German Shepherds that, it is in the German Shepherd line. So, but your vet, I'm sure would be checking for that as well.
So, acupuncture could also be very, very helpful here, and possibly chiropractic, depending on what the problem is. But yeah, I'm sorry, it's hard to see them. They've been in your family for nearly 10 years, and you're starting to see the impact of age and time and activity and all those things. So, good luck with you.
Yeah, definitely. Good luck with that. Oh, hey, Nor. It's nice to see you. So Nor is asking, would Chaga help for IBS? And now, is this for your kitty? Nor, we met her at the Healthy Dog Expo.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's a cat lover.
Okay. So it'd be for your cat.
She's not, I don't know, it could be for a human or
so,
whatever.
I think Chaga certainly could be helpful for IBS. My concern would be whether or not it could be administered to a cat regularly, in substantial amounts to have an impact, which is where I'm going in terms of thinking maybe lion's mane might be a better choice for IBS in a cat.
Yeah.
Certainly, because of the palatability that both lion's mane and cordyceps have, and for cats. But Certainly, chaga could if you could administer it.
Yeah, and maybe it's not. Oh, okay. She's asking in general. It's for human. Yeah, it's for. Couldn't help it, Nor, because I've been following you on Facebook and I see you post the pictures with your beautiful kitty. But yeah, so IBS for humans. Yes, chaga would be a good mushroom. Correct.
Yeah. Yes, I don't know what's available in Europe. Is real mushrooms available in Europe? No, she's in.
Yeah, she's in France.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're on iHerb in France yet. I know if we have any international people, I know that our real mushrooms, some of our mushroom products are now available on Amazon in the UK. So I don't know. You might be able to get our products in France. We need to find that out. I know we're kind of spreading our wings internationally. So coming, if not, then maybe coming soon. So let's see. So Sandra Spezzano, she had some questions about beta glucans and about your dosing chart, that beautiful dosing chart that you put together, Dr. Rob. Okay. And so, she's asking how much. I know she's been having trouble writing this up, but she had questions about beta glucans and how much to give for a moderate to high, a moderate to severe issue. And would it be different for the different mushrooms?
Okay, that is a good question. Yeah. There was a question that I think was missed. I'm just alerting Jordan to that one.
Oh, okay.
Because each mushroom has similar active ingredients like the beta glucans. That's common with all mushrooms. And they all have similar ingredients, but they're different and specific to that individual mushroom. The most precise and accurate dosing would be if we could take a given mushroom in a given species of animal for a given disease and do a study where we would give different levels, different dosage levels of that mushroom to see which one worked the best. That's the only really way that we can, objectively determine a dosage. I created this algorithm for dosing based on the fact that all mushrooms have in common their beta glucans. So we're dosing based on the beta glucan level, but that for a given mushroom, these other active ingredients are being manufactured by the mushroom in a fairly close relationship to the amount of beta glucan. So if we dose for beta glucans, we're also dosing for the other actives. It's not perfect, but I think it can help. And so what we do is we look at the weight of the animal, and then the severity of the condition. Like for wellness, we might, I'll express these in milligrams per kilogram, because off the top of my head, I'm not going to maybe convert them quite as accurately, but about 2.5 milligrams, or maybe 1.25 milligram per pound of body weight per day would be a wellness amount. So for instance, the lion's mane, let's say it's 25% beta glucans. So, so that would be like 25 milligrams would be good for a 25-pound dog. So, we would use the amount in that. The capsules have a fixed amount, but you'd have to weigh it to get a more precise amount. So for the wellness, we would use like 2.5 to 5 mg per kg. For moderate conditions, we go a bit higher, about 5 to 10 mg per kg, which is probably what you're looking at, Sandra, but I don't know what you're trying to treat. And then for a more severe and serious problem like cancer, I'd go pretty dong high. I'd go 10 to even as high as 30 milligrams, but I wouldn't start with that high a dosage. I'd start lower. I'd start maybe at the lowest level just to make sure that your dog can tolerate it, and then gradually increase it over a period of a week or two to get to that target dosage based on the beta glucan content. And one thing that's nice about the Real Mushrooms products, unlike almost every other company out there, if I might say we're pretty good, is that every single product is standardized to its beta glucan content. So you can be sure that the bottle you buy this week and the bottle you buy in 6 months has the same potency to it, same dosage.
Very
Plus,
nice.
we publish the dosage, the beta glucan content on each bottle. So you can help to figure that out. If you don't want to be that precise, we also have a nice dosing scale, like one capsule for every 20 to 40 pounds of body weight. One per 40 pounds of body weight would be a low end. One per 20 pounds of body weight would be a higher end, and you might even go higher than that. But that's the best way that I've been able to figure out to help give us guidance as far as how much to use in order to get successful outcomes. Because really, other than choosing, the right supplement for a problem, the other piece is how much to give. And dosage is important.
It is, and it can get confusing. And Sandy had a follow. I think you've just addressed that follow-up question. How high of beta glucans to give for optimal results of moderate to high, which you just gave.
Yes.
Should we be looking at beta glucans or milligrams? I think that's where people get confused.
People aren't technically minded. I understand. A milligram is a measure of weight. Okay. A beta glucan is actually a molecule that's found inside the mushroom. So when we talk about how potent the mushroom is, we measure the milligrams of beta glucans. And that tells us, whether it's like a turkey tail, which has 35% beta glucans, or a reishi that has 20% beta glucans. But really, when you look at it, that range from 20% to 35, it's not that big a range. Right. You could probably dose them all the same way, regardless of whether it's a lower beta glucan or a higher beta glucan, because the dosing is very forgiving. It's really a wide range, and it really is most effective when given every day over a fairly substantial period of time
consistently. Yeah, no, that's really helpful. And just so you know, Doc Silver put together a really beautiful explanation and dosage chart, which we have available. I put it in the file section on the Real Mushrooms Facebook for Pets page. I don't know if we're able to post it anywhere here. It's a little long to try to post in the chat. But if anybody's interested in getting that chart, you can email me, Joni at Real Mushrooms, Joni at Real Mushrooms. Maybe Jordan, if you wouldn't mind putting that in the chat there. If anybody would like that specific chart, I've been using it all the time since Doc Rob put it together to help support pet parents with that. So feel free to reach out to me with that. And then we've had a lot of questions and comments coming in. Let's see. And I hope that answered your question, Sandy.
Okay. Yeah, here's that question that I think we missed.
Okay. Oh.
I didn't want her to think that we were overlooking
it. We did miss that. Yeah. Would cordyceps help to reduce testosterone, or should I maybe avoid it with a high testosterone lab value?
I'm not quite sure why you're measuring testosterone in your pet, but I don't think that adding the cordyceps is going to make that value worse. I think that it's only in a situation of deficiency that it helps to stimulate that. I can't imagine it would stimulate it to be high. It's a very mild effect, but I'm not quite sure what that condition would be where they're measuring testosterone levels, unless it's a testicular tumor or or some sort of a endocrine tumor.
Yeah. I hope that helps, Rhonda. Mm-hmm. So Kathleen's asking, what is, well, Kathleen.
Whatever works for you. Most people say 2 to 3 grams.
Yeah.
We're not talking about mushrooms that we sell.
Yeah. We do not sell mushrooms for taking a heroic dose for a spiritual journey, but we wish you the best on your journey. Donna is mentioning that her border collie does knuckling with her bad leg. Chiropractic, CBD mushrooms, and green lip mussels have helped. Yeah, definitely.
Needs a program like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I think that was a question that Donna was asking somebody else in the chat.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Bridget with her burner, she's asking a follow-up question. How much should I be feeding her 115-pound burner of 5 Defenders? And this was for the 4-year-old for kind of a maintenance.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I'm sorry, what was the condition we were treating in the burner?
I think it was just a maintenance, if I remember correctly. Bridget, you can put it in the chat if I'm wrong, but it was more just a kind of a daily proactive.
Oh, right, because he's a young guy. So
Yeah.
that'd be about 50 kgs times 2.5 would be about 130 milligrams or so a day. And the Five Defenders we've actually recently upgraded the percentage. So we'll say it's got 20%. It was upgraded to 20, wasn't it? Not 25?
I think it was upgraded to 20. Yeah. Because it had like 15. And
so that means a single 300 milligram capsule would contain 60 milligrams of beta glucans from the whole Five Defenders. And so I would say, 60 times 2, or to be on the safe side, 3 capsules a day for your over 100-pound dog would be a very good wellness dose for it.
Yeah. Agreed. And I should add that, when we're talking about the beta glucan content on the bottles, I believe that consistently we're starting to increase some of the beta glucan contents on our products, because in testing they have been consistently coming in higher than what's listed on the bottle. So we always we've been keeping it lower than what's been testing, just to make sure that we're never under the amount. But there's a good chance that it's actually going to have higher.
Yeah, we guarantee a minimum.
Minimum. Yeah.
And there's no harm in giving a little more.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. What blend of mushrooms would you suggest for early liver disease?
I'm not seeing that, but okay.
Yeah. Chaga. Did I say something?
Well, what's interesting, Donna, is many mushrooms are very good in terms of protecting the liver and supporting the liver. So I think that, whatever choice you make, chaga certainly could be good, cordyceps, reishi, Five Defenders, lion's mane. I think any of those are helpful for early liver disease.
Yeah. The Five Defenders would be great, because it's got, I think, pretty much all the mushrooms in there are hepatosupportive. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Sandy. So Sandy's with the beta glucan content. She's been on this road increasing slowly for quite a long time. She can push it further. Mast cell tumor that's been there for a couple of years. So she's treating her dog that's had a mast cell tumor, or that has mast cell.
Most mast cell tumors are not very toxic, quite frankly, but they are frightening because you don't know, and they can convert from being fairly, non-aggressive to becoming more aggressive. So it's good to keep an eye on them. And I think using a mushroom is a good idea. I think Five Defenders is probably a good mushroom for that. And using a moderate to high level is fine. Generally these mast cells just stay the way they are. Their mast cells are the cells of allergies, and so animals who have a tendency to allergies oftentimes will tend to develop these mast cells tumors as well.
Yeah. So question, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but on that note, because I've talked to a number of different vets, some vets like to remove them and some vets like to leave them be. Do you have a preference on that, or does
first of all, I'd like to know if it needs to be removed.
Right, of course.
And I like doing aspirates for that to get a sense as far as the mitotic index and the degree of the cancerous nature of it, and then the size and location. It may be, and maybe the animal itself, as well as the pet parent, they all factor into the decision. It may be the best medical decision, but the pet parent is adamantly opposed to it, in which case, as a veterinarian, I have to honor, their beliefs, even though I may try to convince them otherwise,
Right, of course.
So, it depends, but they can be a real slippery slope. I remember one patient that we took a mast cell tumor, a small little thing off the back. It really wasn't very annoying to the dog, but it was annoying to the pet parent. We sent it in, and it was of the most aggressive grade.
Wow.
2 weeks later, the dog died. It had already spread through all of the organs, so they are scary, And I'm not trying to diminish, their threat, but I just want to balance it with the fact that statistically, most of them are not a problem.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Next question. Not a question, but a comment. This past February, my 10-year-old Bouvier had a toe removed due to squamous cell carcinoma. Immediately after her surgery, I started her on 1,000 milligrams of 5 Defenders 2 times a day and 1,000 milligrams of Turkey Tail 2 times a day. I also began giving her curcumin, vitamin C, cruciferous veggies, and blueberries. She remains cancer-free and will be discharged by her oncologist if something. if she remains cancer-free. I'm a Real Mushrooms customer for life. Yay, Karen. And look at that picture. She's got a beautiful picture of her Bouvier and her Bouvier in her profile. Wow, look at that. Look at his head. That's gorgeous. Look at her head.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
It's a show dog looks like.
Yeah. Well, we love hearing these testimonials, Karen, and we hear them literally all day long. I mean, we get every time a review comes in on our Real Mushrooms website, I get a ping on my phone. And so I'm lucky enough that I get to read these reviews all day, not only on, humans that are receiving benefits, but also their people writing about their pets. So, we love hearing this. It's inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I have the Lion's Mane bulk powder. How much do I give my 50-pound and 18-pound dogs?
That would be 25% beta-glucans, and a half teaspoon contains 1,000 milligrams, right?
Yeah.
I think, or is 500 milligrams. No, I think it's 500 milligrams. Yeah.
A half a teaspoon, half a teaspoon is 500, I believe. I wish I had my chart in front of me.
So that would be, how much is 1,000 milligrams? I guess that's a teaspoon then. So a teaspoon would have 250 milligrams of beta-glucans in it, just to give you kind of a reference. And then a 50-pound dog, let's say it's a 25 kilogram dog. I don't know what you're treating. Remember that the dosing has to do with not just the weight of the animal, but the severity of the condition. So if you're using Lion's Mane for both dogs, maybe you're trying to settle them down because they're stressed out or something like that. That might be the most common application. You don't need to use a really high dose to do that. I would say maybe at 2.5 mg per kg. So that's 25 times 2.5. And that would be about 62 milligrams. So that would be 250 milligrams for a teaspoon. So that would be about 1/4 of a teaspoon would be close to that ballpark amount. And I would just give your 18-pound dog 1/8 of a teaspoon, because it's going to be hard to measure less than that. You certainly could look at the capsules, which make it a little easier to measure.
A lot easier. Yeah.
Yeah. I just, but double check to see. It'll say on that pouch how many, I think how many milligrams are in a kitchen teaspoon measurement. I can't remember what it says right now.
Yeah, I think it's 1,000, but next Q&A, I will print that document out. So we have so the next question about also on Lion's Mane, would Lion's Mane be a good addition to an idiopathic seizure protocol?
I think it could be. We don't really have much evidence to support that, other than knowing that Lion's Mane is very supportive of nervous system function. And there may be some evidence it could. I would say it certainly wouldn't hurt to use that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely.
mhm.
Any other things you'd suggest for that? CBD maybe,
Well,
or
I think CBD has shown itself to be good for that at the right dosage. You know, especially if it's a simple, uncomplicated plumbers here, a simple, uncomplicated, epilepsy as compared to, treatment resistant epilepsy. So,
and you said the plumber was going to come right during the Facebook Live too.
Murphy's Law rules when it comes to these live things. But, I'm happy he's here. We've been out of heat all day. That's why I'm all dressed up.
Yeah.
And God bless him that he would come, in 8 inches of snow after working from probably 7 o'clock this morning, and he's still at it.
Oh,
this guy's a hero.
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad he's there for you,
Me too.
Doc Rob. And we just have a few. We maybe have 1 or 2 questions left
Yes.
before we run out of time. So we have a cat that is very moody. We're going to try the calming chews to see if they will help level out her moods. Is there any other supplement that we might be able to give her to calm her down?
Well, I think that it's a great supplement for calming, but she's a cat and moody, so who knows? Maybe, she won't like them. My suggestion would be to start with the Lion's Mane capsules, which you can open and blend in with the food very easily, and start with that and see if you can get an impact from that alone. I also think that cats do very well with CBD in terms of their moodiness. It helps to settle them down a bit. But there can be other things that are making a cat moody, including a neighbor's cat that's coming to the window and annoying them, and maybe another dog or children in the household, or you change the furniture. Cats can be quite
existential crisis of a cat. Yeah.
Existential crisis. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But I would say, I think the calming chews would be helpful if you could get them in her. I think you're more likely to get the Lion's Mane in.
Although, let me remind you, remember when we first got the calming chews and we trialed them, for palatability, and we're very surprised at how many cats actually did eat the chews. So it's not that the cats absolutely won't eat them.
I just think it's important to give a caveat to cat owners.
Totally, I agree.
If I were trying to, get her to buy the chews and then the cat didn't take it, I'd be in deep doo-doo, and rightfully so. So that's why I'm cautious about suggesting specific products when it comes to cats.
Yeah.
Because cats are just very special.
Yeah. And you did put the catnip in the calming chews.
Calming chews, and my cat did eat them, although not enough, I think, to really make a difference. And she's young and she showed no impact at all. I gave her a bunch of CBD too and didn't do anything.
Yeah. And I do agree with you, Dr. Rob. I think the Lion's Mane would be a better choice, but I did want to defend your calming chews a bit, because I was very surprised at how many cats actually did eat them. And then, if you remember, I had to create another category because I had cats that ate the chew, cats that refused the chew, and then I had to add a category of cats that played with the chew before eating the chew, because I'm guessing because of the catnip in there, some cats actually really did have an affinity for the chews.
Yeah, chicken liver too.
Yeah, that could do it as well.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. So what do you say we take one more question, and then we'll let you hang out with your plumber. Suggestions on how to give mushroom powder such as reishi to dogs. The taste is difficult to mask. Yeah.
Have you tried capsules? That's why we put the reishi in capsules for pets, because it is so difficult. One of our attendees tonight puts it in the raw food, just puts the powder in the raw food along with the 5 Defenders, which is even more reishi and more bitter stuff. So, maybe just, mixing the powder in with the food, starting with a very small amount so that's acceptable, and then sneaking it up over a period of time to try to increase it without them being aware of it, because you can gradually increase it that way. That would be my suggestion. I think the capsules are an easy solution.
I agree. Or the reishi is also in the
chews,
in the chews, and and in the calming
juice
although,
too.
in a lesser amount than if you
Mhm.
would just do the powder or capsule. But okay, well, I think we've reached our hour here, and I know you need to deal with your boiler issue. But yes, I do. And just for those that didn't hear earlier, we are offering a 15% discount on all Real Mushrooms pet products. The code is RMPets15, RMPets15. And you just put in that discount code at checkout and get 15% off of all Real Mushrooms pet products. So do stock up. Well, this has been fun, Doc Rob. It's so nice.
It's fun. I like
it's always fun. Yeah, it's always fun. I always enjoy hanging out with you, and I enjoy hanging out with the folks on the folks out there in social media land. So yeah. So thanks everybody.
Thanks everybody for taking time out of your day to spend it with us, and I hope it's been valuable for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said earlier, this recording, as soon as we finish these, the recording becomes it lives on the Facebook pages on the Real Mushrooms Insiders, and Real Mushrooms for Pets Facebook pages. So we'll be here next month. It's usually the last Thursday of the month at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, hug your kitties and your doggies and your horses and
your plumber
lizards, and hug your plumber.
Your plumber.
Yeah. And may you all have a wonderful new year, and we will see you in 2023.
See you all.
Okay. Bye.